It has been a while since I've been with you. It's just been busy, and then I had to catch up on some of those eyes of yours from the classes. I just got about 10 or 12 of them done, so they'll be going out today, and then I've got about 15 more, I think, or so I'll get done. But I thought I would come to you this morning and tell you I love you all, and that I'm trying to come to as many of you as I can and help you at night. And so I hope that you all are seeing a growth spiritually. I think that is very important, that be the number one factor in your life. Health is simple, but sometimes difficult to achieve because of the depth of the problems. And I think if you start developing yourselves spiritually, now what does that mean? How do you develop yourself spiritually? And we've talked a great deal about this, and it is involved in the thought processes in the mind, and also the emotions and desires. You know, if you stop and think, that's all you do is think. If you stop and observed the thinking process, you will notice that it's hard. It's hard to just stop thinking because the mind just keeps wanting to think and plan, and because that's we've been trained. We've trained, and our society is hot on training the mind and emotions so the social consciousness can mold you in the way it needs you to fit into their social consciousness. That's the social consciousness. Important for life to exist in an unconscious way, but a lot of you guys are becoming conscious. That means more awakened, more aware of life and all its little intricacies all around you. And you're seeing more because you're thinking less. And that is the mark of a spiritual giant, is those that think less and give love more. And you know, this is how it's all done. And so that should always be your sucre. Love, God, whoever you call your God, that which is infinite, that which is divine, that which is good, that, absorb into that. Become that which is, and you will be. And I always say, be love. Just exude love and happiness and joy, and that's what you'll get back. Because world is tied in you reap what you sow. Karma, the law of cause and effect. All these words define the same thing, is that you're getting back what you put out. When you see someone suffering, you must understand that they created that. You might not see it in the moment, so it's hard to judge. So our mind judges that. But you don't understand, these souls have had long journeys and have created a lot of things in their lives, and a lot of souls have hurt a lot of people in their lives. And so different lifetimes you pay for different things, you know. And so you have to look at that. But you can bust all that apart, clean all that out, and get yourself free again, get yourself awake again, at least to a degree that gives you more joy and happiness. And joy and happiness isn't about the toys and the tools of life. It's about understanding and enjoying yourself for what you already are. Not your thought processes, not your desires, not your emotions, but who you are, just as a being, a beautiful being that doesn't have to do anything to radiate beauty. You don't have to think anyway. You don't have to plan anyway. You don't have to look anyway to be beautiful, because you already are. The magnificence of each and every one of you is incredible. The allness of each and every one of you. We each are on our little journeys of thought processes and creating things and playing with the tools of creation. But we should never forget that these are simply the toys of creation that create your drama for you, and it isn't who you really are. And once we break that, we break our opinions, we break all these concepts, and then things just doesn't matter. What works in the moment, and each moment is a new moment for you in your life. Nothing is ever static. If you want everything to be the same in creation, you can forget that, because creation doesn't show you that. Creation shows you constant change, constant growth, and it's a beautiful thing when you look at that. So I do appreciate each and every one of you. The Facebook people are incredible. Don't let the negative forces come in and grab you. And thought is part of the negative forces. And we talked a little bit about the academics, and I did pull those off because I thought they might be a little strong for you to understand that creation is about academics. God already has it all. And that's the side you want to align yourself with. You know, academics is an ongoing process of ideas and ideologies and things like this that actually have really no basis in truth whatsoever. It's okay in real time in creation and how you learn to go out and make shelter and things like that, but realistically, these are just how you play in your drama. The reality of life is so much greater, and the happiness and joy there. I know a lot of your suffering, you're seeing this more and more and more, and you're seeing the babies. As I said, we get a slew of these babies in here, and it's just unreal what's going on. So we need all you healers. Don't ever get frustrated. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring out the academics versus spirituality is that so many people feel themselves inferior to an intellectual. Never do that, because the trap is the intellectual. It builds, because with the mind comes the id, the ego, and that it locks you deeper into that world. And you've seen it. I went through it, and you had to be careful, always watchful at the doorway of the ego, because it can come at the time you're least expected and shine its little head up big and strong. But that's not what we want, because it doesn't matter. We're all one, and we're all working together as a team. Not one of you is better than another. I'm no better than you guys, or less. We're all the same. We're all part of that shattered mirror of God, of the whole. And that's the beauty of all that, you know. So I think I'm going to read some of these, and I know there's some of you hurting out there. Some of you have some important questions, and between the school and everything, and just a lot of processes, we're having trouble with herb companies again, and it's just it's a big deal out there to get the level of craftsmanship and caring and things and companies that should be. So hang in there on us and enjoy this ride, because I'm going to tell you, don't let anybody tear you off of this. Understand exactly what's up. And if you stop and think about it, all pain, all swelling, all decay of cells falls predominantly on the acid side of chemistry. The acid side of chemistry is known as the corrosive side of chemistry. You could dub that as the male side if you wish, to get some understanding of the aggressiveness of that side of chemistry, because the male side of life is definitely the aggressive side of life, where the female's more the passive side. There's no one's better than another, but the duality of that. You have to have that feminine principle as a dominant principle, however, and man's ego has blocked that. Some countries kill their women when they just don't cover their face. I mean, the suppression of the female principle is ridiculous. And it's a totally male thing. It's a negative thing. Because it's that principle of the female that brings us love, that introduces us to kindness and gentleness. And we need that principle, because a totally dominant male-male society is a warring society. And we have to shed that. If you'll notice, more men are coming suited up with more feminine properties, which is perfect, because a male with feminine properties is a gentle giant, is someone that can give love instead of power and control. So you ladies always want a man that's got a lot of female in him, and if you're a male, I suggest you get in touch with your female side, maybe take some estrogen. No. But anyway, it's good to talk with you guys again. I just love you all, and you're such a great bunch of people. And, work through these little ups and downs here that goes on. If someone disagrees with you, okay, but get your strength and your knowledge and your awareness, because this in the final analysis isn't about who's right or who's wrong. It's really about the client, and can we get them back to a state of wellness and happiness with whatever tools you want to use. We have just found that it is ridiculous to think that the fruit tools are not one of the better tools, because they are outstanding. They rank at the top of man's wellness picture. Remember, man is a frugivore, not an omnivore. It's okay if the Hippocrates recommends vegetables for horses, cows, and elephants and things like that, but we're frugivores. But it will take us time to get back to that, no question. And when man starts to raise their fruit properly, right now, the islands is the key. You know, the islands have always been dubbed the third world countries and all these places. However, they're actually the key to it all. You know, that's where all the divine fruits are for man. The tropics holds the answer for man's health and vitality. And the sooner we understand that and praise these countries and help them to grow the fruit for the world and have our pyramid greenhouses. Thank you for sending that in. I thought that was incredible. Pyramid greenhouses, that's the cat's meow in my opinion. Anybody's ever messed with pyramids, you can always tell that energetic difference, you know. They're real powerful and things like it. We have the awareness to build superior food and superior houses and things like this, and hopefully we'll make that change over and get away from this warring and pettiness that's going on there, all the lies and deceits. I mean, shouldn't we be beyond that right now? You know, so they need to see it from the people. And you're the people they need to see it from, because you are the spiritual awakening ones. And you must understand that this planet needs you, and needs you to fight off those negative influences of the mind and the ego and the desires for material things that keeps you bound to those desires, keeps you working and slaving and never having fun. You need to go have some fun sometimes, you know. So let's go down through some of these questions here. And I really thank you for staying with us with the YouTube site. I know that there's been a lot of ups and downs, but typically when you introduce higher awareness, there's the struggle that the negative side has to it. Always. You will always see the negative side biting at your heels. It's supposed to be. That's the way it is. You know, and so the more that you live in that now, where there is no positive or negative, you're not influenced by either side. Because once you go negative, then you got to go positive, and once you go positive, then the negative. It's that balancing act that if you live where you don't care either way, you're in the joy and ecstasy in every moment, and either way doesn't matter, because it's going to be what it's going to be no matter what. These are God's worlds. And, you know, the best we can do is bring more of the spiritual side, the loving side, the healing side to this level of negativity. And it will pull away. Hey, Robert, this is JG here. Been a while. Hey, JG. Jeff, nice to talk to you again. My wife sent me an email she received from her Aunt Pat. This morning, both Pat and her husband Tom have lived a typical good life, including much meat, dairy, processed foods, and alcohol. Yeah, typical food on the planet. Well, isn't that amazing, though, when you think about that? How far man did sink in his dietary habits. If it didn't taste good, we find some way to make it taste good and eat it anyway. That sounds like a billy goat or something. While Pat has some neurological problems and other aches and pains, her husband Tom is in much worse shape. It appears they both put 100% faith in the medical system to cure them. But I understand that, and the sad part about that is that shows you how good the World Bank and the Rockefellers really are. You know, if you want to become better than that, you must get better than that. Deception and lies lead these people into bad karma. So all these people, you know, everything's for a reason, of course. And the World Bank is definitely there to help set up the one world order, but not in the way they think. That's the joke on them. They haven't seen something coming that's real big yet. And they'll see that they were only being used. We're all only being used here. That's why you just sit back and ride the ride. Enjoy the ride, because, you know, there's so many powers right now controlling things. It's not even funny. They don't understand the nature of disease, the toxicity of drugs, the healing power of the body, or the natural diet of mankind. Now, that was very well said, Jeff. I don't think I could have said it any better. They don't understand the nature of disease, the toxicity of drugs, the healing power of the body, or the natural diet of mankind. That is beautifully articulated. That is exactly what this is. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's that simple. You can understand where she is mentally by the last paragraph. She is concerned she will catch Tom's Clostridium, and that Tom may catch her cold. Not such if there is any hope for people who have become so brainwashed. There is, because you never know, Jeff, where it could, in one moment, you could say one thing, Jeff, to one person, a little Zen technique, and open them right up. Did you ever think you were an old soul in a human body? You know, things like that. You know, there was the, I don't know if you saw that movie by Bruce Lee, but it was, it was his last movie he wrote, and he got David Carradine to star, and David Carradine was the master. And it was dealt around martial arts, but it was the journey of the God worlds and the different journeys that this individual went, so he could see Zetan. He needed to see God. And he went through all these martial arts. He went through the emotions and fell in love with a beautiful woman and lost her. I mean, it was well done. And I was just trying to remember the name of it. It just went out my head, but it was a good movie. And finally, he fought all the way to win the seat of knowledge. And he got up into these high levels, and he wanted to fight, and they go, fight what? So he was going beyond creation. And so they all fought for the book. They needed to see the book, because in the book was all knowledge. And they fought. Men fought to go up this journey. Very few made this journey, matter of fact. That's what you see here. Very few souls awakened to these higher levels at any given time. Let me tell you, creation is full of souls attempting to become themselves again. But what was the name of that movie? It was really good. But anyway, in the end, he fought, and he got the right to open up the book. And they bring this beautiful book, and they open up the book. And he's looking at the book, and he starts laughing, and he starts laughing. Page after page, he's opening the book of knowledge. And he's laughing and laughing. He closed the book, and he says, I get it. Because each page was nothing but a mirror. Each page was a mirror is showing himself as the true reality. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Okay, so let's talk about Tom's situation. He came down with shingles at the end of July. So let's stop right there. Shingles. We know shingles is a product of the herpes virus. Where did the herpes viral really get started? From what we know, what was it, the smallpox vaccination? Here we go in the toxicities again, where the government thinks it's healthy to introduce toxicity to the body and develop artificial immunities. When natural immunities, you know what's the problem is that all this is tied allopathically. So they're so afraid because there's no curative value to allopathy that we don't want you to get anything. And it's like, excuse me, this is just the natural law of the universe. Virals, we've talked about virals many times. And these are just antigens. We have HIV in this clinic, but we also have AIDS. And it's not that we treat these type of diseases. These aren't diseases. These are viral issues. And virals are just there to say, hey, if you're a strong cell, I'm good. But if you're a weak cell, come to daddy. And that's problematic, because that shows you the difference between HIV involvement and AIDS involvement, or Hep C involvement and yet full hepatitis C. Big difference, where you have a high viral load and no liver enzyme or alkaline phosphatase elevation, and at the same time have a high viral load. You're not going to see any problems. But have a high viral load and you see elevated liver enzymes, that means the acids of the lymph system are breaking down the liver, and now virals will attach to those cells, and you'll have macrophage city. In other words, you will have an immune system trying to deal with these damaged cells. Wait, but that isn't that how it's supposed to be, though? I thought nature's supposed to get rid of the weak and rebuild and make stronger. Of course it is. I mean, this is what we have to understand. So first of all, and this is tied back to a statement you made, Jeff, up here about Tom. You're looking at an adrenal gland weakness where he's lost the myelin sheaths, at least to a certain extent, through this genetic pass. So all you have is attachment of virals to weak cells. Call it the myelin sheaths, if you will, because it's just all location, location, location. So it's just no different than any other herpes expression. All happens in an acidic medium. Remember, these are proteolytics. So it all deals in acid mediums. You notice if you keep yourself alkaline and you still don't detoxify the viral loads out of you, you still have the viral loads, but you won't have any symptoms. And you can carry those viral loads for years with no symptoms. Soon as you start creating acidosis, you start seeing the viruses coming out. And this is in herpes simplex, it's in genital herpes, same thing. They'll go dormant if you keep your body alkaline. They'll rage if you get acidic. Just eat a bunch of grapefruit or, say, unripe pineapple, which is very acidic, and see the little sores developing in your mouth. Same thing. So what's the answer? The answer is to get these acids out of the body and to strengthen what? The myelin sheaths of the nervous system. But what gland would be responsible for that system? Because generally we're speaking about the autonomic nervous system. Yes, the adrenal glands. And that ties into what you said up here earlier about Tom. Tom, you need to catch her cold. If you can catch her cold, Tom, you need to catch her cold. I've always said if you can't detox and get a healing crisis, go find someone that's sick and hug them and hope that they'll spend some time and hope that extra viral or that extra bacterial load or a different bacterial load will set a body into a healing crisis, which is called a cold and flu-like symptom. Remember, European medical doctors told American medical doctors quit treating cold and flu-like symptoms. Remember, they were pulling the cold and flu-like medicines off the shelves for kids because it was killing the kids. What are you trying to do? What is a cold and flu-like symptom? Does it match a detoxification symptom? Why? Think about this logically, and I say don't think, but there's a time where you got to not think, but overview. And I like that, because if you think, you'll get lost. If you overview, you won't. An overview means, what's the symptoms of a cold? Fever? I can't believe man has almost forgot what fevers are for. Medical doctors have no clue. When you go to school and you study fevers as a bad thing, you're going to bad school. It's a universal issue, and it's real easy to understand. And when a school teaches you have to treat fevers, that school needs to close up. I don't care what it is. It could be naturopathic school, because fevers are what God has set to increase dilation of what? The skin. And what role does the skin play? It's your third kidney. So what's in's got to come out. Now, most people don't understand what Jeff's saying here in terms of the standard American diet. And people are getting it, though, because they're suffering more and more. And the rate of suffering is accelerated. And the age group has gotten now down to the infants. There's nothing left except the termination of the human species. But we have the raw foodist. And those raw foodists and those mamas that are raising those babies raw, you guys are responsible for changing the planet and the consciousness. You all need to be commended. You mothers that are plowing through this and raising your babies raw, I'm so proud of you. You need to stand on the top of the mountain and say, yeah, baby. So, you need to get into his adrenal glands. Now, what does the adrenal glands control? His nervous system, obviously. That's the autonomic nervous system, right? So that's obviously a problem. It's weak, so you know his adrenal glands are weak. So what do they sit on? That's right, the kidneys. And the kidneys control what system? Yep, the great lymphatic system, the one the virals are in. And not on the blood. What you see in the blood is only a fraction of what you see in the lymph. Remember, blood is only 25% of interstitial fluid. Lymph is what? If 75%, add the interstitial fluid to the lymph, because they're one and the same, in my opinion. It appeared the medication he had to take for that led to diverticulitis. Ooh, that's a problem. Well, it couldn't lead to diverticulitis. I mean, it could irritate. There's no question, and be inflammatory. No question about that. But the pocketed areas of the bowel probably already existed in him. And it's just instigating. Sounds like it's tripping acidosis more in him. While he seemed to recover from this, he was not getting better. In fact, he soon worsened. He was exhausted, weak, sleeping all the time, and developing severe diarrhea. He was admitted to the hospital where he was diagnosed with kidney failure. Whoops. Did we not know that already? Look at that. See, Jeff, you're going right on down. Your buddy's going right on down the line here. Or your aunt or uncle, whatever, going right on down the line here to death. We all die. Remember I say this, we all die of kidney failure. What is with those magical little beings? What is it? They control the sewer system. They should be blessed all the time. They're the ones fighting the tough job, particularly for those that are dead animal eaters and stuff. Kidney failure as well as a bowel infection. Look at that. So do we have major lymphatic problems in Tom? He was placed on intravenous for 3 days to rehydrate him and was closely monitored. Oh boy. More testing and then diagnosed with C. difficile. We're sure he contracted this during his first day in the hospital, but that's just, that's the effect. What is going on here with Tom? Culturing medium. Tom is a major culturing medium. Tom, just go out in the woods and lay down. It won't be long. I mean, this is the problem. We have sepsis. We have sewage backing up in our cells. Well, you can't blame viruses and bacteriums and things for enjoying food. That's their job. You can't keep them out. If you keep killing the bacteria in the body, you're killing the lymph node bacteria. Killing the lymph node bacteria will definitely walk you down the road to cancer cells, breaking down your cells. This is all insanity. It has no reality to it. The allopathy has just got to really change the way they think and understand what you guys understand if they're ever going to be a factor in health. If not, they're going to be a factor in a lot of courts because I think people are just going to start suing these guys like crazy. And with a lot of tools, because our legal teams are developing the tools now, good tools. And so, it's just that, we have to lay things down. If not, sometimes tough love is needed here at this level. Anybody who raised kids knows that you can try the high spiritual side of communication, but there's a certain level of discipline that's required for children, or they become extremely undisciplined. Remember the old saying that if you don't see discipline at home, you never develop self-discipline? So, these things are important to develop because souls are so huge that we have to do it in a spiritual way, but in a way that also develops their ability to, have self-discipline. Let me see here. He was taking antibiotics in the hospital for diverticulitis. The doctors have told us that the antibiotics had the effect of killing all his good bacteria, which left him open for the C. diff. So that's where we are now, and they sound all of us his medications. It will be for much more time. Tom, you need to come in. You need to let your friend here help you. Help you here. Get your bowels cleaned up. Guys, get on stomach and bowel, whatever. Get on Lymphatic 1 capsule. Start cleaning that bowel wall. Use Parasite M if you want. You can use Parasite M and G. Do a worm detoxifying there. It'll get rid of the C. diff. Clean all that out. At the same time, you've got to get in your kidneys and adrenals. You didn't give me a creatinine level here. If it's in kidney failure, his creatinine levels are way up there then. You check and see if Tom's filtering and that sort of thing. Also, we have just one bathroom, and after Tom uses it, he must wipe the fixtures down with bleach wipes. Culturing medium, guys. Culturing medium. Because get on these herbal antibiotics. The much different. Plus, you've got to deal with the culturing medium, Tom. You're offering sewage. You don't culture bacteria without sewage. So the problem is what's in the diverticulums. That's the problem. That's impactions. You're loaded with sewage, and you're just a good person to, that God sent in some troops. You can focus on the C. diff, but I'm going to tell you something. You focus on the sewage and you'll be far better off because they're leaving the sewage in you, which will just keep multiplying your symptoms until they kill you. They're focusing on the wrong things. That's the medical profession. They're lost. They don't know what health is. They're still in research. So send them a few $1,000s to help them in their research, because it's going to be a while. I've had a cold bug for over 3 weeks now, and will definitely not take the antibiotics. If you have a cold and flu hanging on, then your diet isn't good enough to propel you deeper into this. If you get a cold and flu-like symptom, start going on a fruit fast. Really take advantage of that, because that is a blessing. Get on a fruit fast and really start digging into that body and start detoxifying it. That's what it's there for. It's in your face for that. If you get a cold, it's in your face that you're the problem, not nature. Nature's just there to help you, not to hurt you. But if you don't follow the laws, then it can hurt you. And we don't follow the laws. We're listening to medical thinking. They don't have a clue about nature of the laws. They're synthetic. They live in laboratories that are sitting there with no clue. They're into nano levels, thinking they'll find the mystery of all things. They'll be in there till hell freezes over, while you guys will be brilliant beings giving love to the universe in a healthy way. Health is simple. We got to get back to simplicity, because we've gotten too intellectual, so therefore we're so narcissistic, we're lost, we judge others, we kill others. Come on. Tom, easy to fix up your case. You just need to get with it and let Jeff show you the ins and outs there, or you're going to suffer, dude, until the point that they really get you bad, and then you come here, and then we have a lot of work to get you back. So you've got a problem here. Obviously, the colon is in bad shape. You have diverticulums. These are bowel pockets, meaning probably that you have a little parathyroid weakness, and you're developing connective tissue weaknesses and herniating the bowel walls. Of course, they're always impacted with meats and white flour products, and always breaking down the cells. So you offer good hosts for bacterium. Just because some are proteolytics, a little meaner, so what? I mean, you're a meat eater. Living this close to someone with C. diff, I'll be concerned that, oh, please, come on. Jeff, keep detoxifying yourself, and get him on Parasite M. They're going to run him all the way to vancomycin and then kill him with vancomycin if they're not careful. That's all I got to say. So for me to take probiotic capsules, which I am doing. Meanwhile, Tom has not caught my cold. Well, let's hope he does. It's honey murcot season. Yeah! How did you know? I love honey murcots. I've got 2, maybe 3 honey murcot trees. Yum, yum, yum. What it actually is navel season. Navel oranges are my favorite, like Red Delicious. A good navel orange, sweet as honey. As sweet as all you guys on YouTube. Hi, Dr. Morse. My name is Mike. I'm originally from Palm City, Florida, East Coast, but now I live in Japan. Cool. Pretty busy place. I love your videos. Thank you so much. Thank you, my friend. Pleasure to have you here on board. I studied detoxification herbs from Dr. Siba, now actually a doctor from Honduras. He has been curing cancer, AIDS, HIV, herpes, etc. for over 30 years. You know what? And you guys will too. That's all I got to say. When you understand this level and detoxification, anybody can cure these things. No offense to anyone, and even myself. I'm just showing you guys how simple it is to help people find their remedies and cure themselves. And once the world gets this whole gigantic burden of allopathy, the financial burdens that it's creating will be suddenly blown away. And all these beautiful RNs that feel they need something to help people can start helping people the right way. There's so many great RNs out there, and there are doctors that I know that are frustrated, medical doctors that are frustrated because they can't cure. Well, for you medical doctors that are great souls, forget your American Medical Association. Dump them first, and then become your own doc. And then get with our legal team to protect yourselves, but be your own doc. Forget chemicals and toxicities. Learn to do this. I've made many medical doctors out there great healers through the years, and these guys are well known and healing people right up. So that would be the order of the day there. Now, he takes basically the same approach that you do, except he focuses at the intracellular level. Well, it's intracellular acidosis that causes this. I mean, that's all intracellular. Until it's intracellular, it's extracellular, meaning it's inflammation, pain and swelling. When it's intracellular, that's when you damage DNA, and that's when you start mutating a cell. It becomes atypical and walking the way toward cancer. And you have that, remember I said you have the HDL, you have the phospholipid protection in a cell wall to a point. But when the lymph backs up, it's like sewage backing up. And when there's no way a cell can eliminate, it's like being constipated. You're actually beginning autointoxication. You're reabsorbing putrefaction if you're a meat eater, and definitely fermentation. Well, that builds fungus problems. If you really start to look at our digestive issues and the fact that we're high starch people, that we have weak adrenals, that we don't metabolize our sugars, that we don't digest well, it's easy to understand why we have so much fermentation and why we have so much candida problems. Do we blame the candida for the problem? No, that's nature. You can't blame nature for our problems. We're the one that does this. Can't blame God for that. Also, you constantly talking about how hard it is to find good herb companies. I highly suggest getting in contact with his office and try and work out a partnership or something. I know he has an office in L.A. and Honduras. Wow, he doesn't come to the U.S. often. I don't blame him because they kicked him out. Well, you know what? He's better off because I would like to myself move out of this country, especially if the elections, don't happen the way they. That could be a real problem for this country. In the 80s, he put an ad in the paper claiming he could cure AIDS, HIV, etc., and they put him in jail. Well, that's the problem, and I've talked to you before, is that you can't treat diseases. They belong to the medical doctors. Well, let them have it. The problem is there's a thin line between common words and non-common words. So it's the legal team you have, and you must always have a civil rights attorney, which we met a really beautiful civil rights attorney, female, at our class here. This is a great civil rights attorney. She obviously is looking at everything. She's with another civil rights attorney. We have constitutional attorneys. These are the attorneys that matter. All these other attorneys are just that kind of brown-nosed attorneys. They're lost in the system. They're lost in corruption. The judicial system in our country is just as corrupt as the medical system. And it's just as corrupt as the banking system. And there's no two ways about it. If you want respect, you must earn it now with the people. And to earn respect is you must return to honesty and integrity at every level. And we must all do that. I mean, it's just, we must respect each other and not hurt each other. Bad karma. At the hearing, he brought in 90 people with the proof that he cured them using electrical herbs. They dismissed the case and told him to leave the country. Isn't that sad? Your own country. Couldn't even live in his own country. I think it's time we turn the tables on these guys and kick them out of our country. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Well, you got the power of God behind you. That's pretty good. And you don't have to even think a thing because it works through you. If you open yourself up as a channel, and you don't have to be a channeler, but you just open yourself up and give divine love, because what you give, you can't hold because you'll burn. But if you give, it flows through you greater and greater and greater. As you give more, it gives you more. And you become a total giver and lover of all things, and therefore you will have all things. You know, when you look at some of the words of the spiritual giants, it's all there. It's just hard to decipher because the ministers are just as and the priests, they're just confused as everyone else. You know, articulating messages from what? The real people are like the Catholic monks that go out into the desert and fast for 40 days and have out-of-body experiences. Now that is a nice little monk group. My specialty is in herbs, and Dr. Siba is the best. He teaches that hybrid foods crossbred by man are not electrical. This is true. Well, this is true. I mean, it's all about magnetics and the movement of magnetics. It's just to stick away from chemistry, you know. It's nice to know a little bit about chemistry, but energetics is the key. You know, this is why my school was hot into radionics way back when. And radionics was a pretty hot order back in naturopathy because it was magnetic healing, but it was done at distance healing. So there was a lot. Jensen had a old radionics machine. I wonder what happened to that thing. I didn't get it, but This is why you cannot heal with carrot juice. Exactly. And no one ever could. But you remember that was the thinking back then. Was Michael was carrot juice, and it's like, what about carrot juice is detoxifying? Nothing, honey, and that's the problem. I've experienced lots of carrot juice fasts and wondered why I didn't get deep like I shoulda. Well, I learned that the fruit is much better in every way, shape. I went through all this. You guys are going through all this. It's no question a no-brainer. The quality of the food tied right into the electrical output of the food, no question. But then we can say it's also tied to the chemical composition of the food, can't we? Because all of that is tied together. The electrical, the chemical, it's all. You can't have one without the other, especially at this level. So it's all of that put together, to tell you the truth. So I love doctors like this guy because they know reality. And they're out there, but you got to find them. You know, they've been abused by our governments and societies, and it's sad, you know. I mean, the stress we've had here, both I fight the corruption in the judicial and IRS system, and then I fight the corruption in the state medical thing. So you can see what kind of stress I live under. Oh, who's that? Oh, is that a black car coming in? Do they have guns? You know, that sort of thing. So it does get you after a while that we can't enjoy our own country because of the mind and narcissism. Look at what's happened to our country. Now the medical doctors have developed a power and a monetary thing that's literally destroying our economics. It's sad stuff, and people can't get remedy. This poor Tom here, they're lucky he doesn't get hurt bad by those guys. Let me see, this is way, okay, carrots are a cross between a Queen Anne's lace and a wild yam, potatoes, eggplants, or others, absolutely. Nightshades, totally, hybrids, and toxic plant families too. It's amazing what we've tried to do when we have plenty of fruit trees and stuff originally. When they crossbred plants, basically they take the seeds of two different plants, the only glue the plant produces is starch, absolutely. And we just went into starches, anything that, well, look at the 256-year-old Chinese guy. And maybe, I've got a big picture up here on the wall of him. Anybody's been in my office, 256 years old, you can Google him, Google 256-year-old Chinese guy, his story will come up. His claim is he never ate anything that grew below the ground. And the higher off the ground you ate, the more magnetics, the more power, which is spot on, you know. And yet people love to have their heads buried in the ground, minerals and all these inorganic, low electrical charge chemistries. And it's like, why are your head there? Your head should be up in the heavens, up in the fruits and the berries and the melons. Well, maybe the melons are on the ground, but okay. Some non-hybrid, very beneficial electrical herbs are dandelion, lamb's quarters, goldenrods. Never heard of this one. Biden's, pondosa, sarsaparilla, and moringa. I was looking at your herbal formulas that you have, and they are really good. I just noticed a couple herbs that I think you should replace. Echinacea, for example. Also, on one of your kidney forms, I noticed you have horsetail. Horsetail, as you know, is very diuretic, but it also contains moderate amounts of nicotine. Yeah, but it's a good calcium silica formula plant. I've accelerated the healing of my gums with that, with my bones formula, but I'll look into that for you, okay? Because I'm the same way. I want to power these babies up more and more and more. But there's only so much people can handle, though, with this. When you add the herbs and the beautiful fruits, my God, the power's more than most people can stand already. You know, but we're getting there, aren't we? You guys are so beautiful. This, Michael, you're so beautiful here. Thank you so much. Well, sorry for, that's okay, my friend. I love you very much, and thank you so much for all this. I hope you consider checking out. I sure will. Matter of fact, I'll have Chris do that here momentarily. This is Rena. Hi, I'm not sure if you make a video about this yet, but I am really concerned about acne breakouts. Oh, sweetheart, I've done so many of them, it's not even funny. Skin, your body's third kidney. So just remember, what you see on the skin is sewage. This is coming from inside your body and is trying to get out. That's all acne, cystic eczema, all this stuff. All this stuff. Dermatitis, all this stuff. Psoriasis. This is all sewage. The problem comes when your thyroid is low and you can't sweat and you don't eliminate through the skin an X amount, and then your adrenals are down and you lose kidney filtration. Now, subcutaneously and throughout the body, you're holding acids in place. And after a while, the lymph nodes will swell, of course, because they're backing up because the route out to the outside world is blocked. The kidneys have become obstructive to this system, and this system backs up, and with a low thyroid and you can't sweat well, your skin can't make up that difference as well. So subcutaneously, which is right under the skin here, epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous, you're not going to do well. You're going to have a lot of problems. And so you have to fix your adrenals and kidneys, clean up your bowels, and get your lymph moving, and clean up your skin as beautiful as you can. Some people are going to be working to move lymph, there's no question. If there's ever anything difficult, that's it. If it comes down to one difficult thing, is learning that system. And just remember that you have a lot of theories out there, but it is about the eliminative organs. When you look at eliminative organs, they must eliminate waste. Their job isn't to eliminate water. Their job is to eliminate waste. And you have three types of waste. You have digestive waste. We know where that goes. We have parasitic waste, not just in that action, but in the body's lymph nodes. We have a lot of bacterial action, which is just like we're supposed to. Every septic system has bacterium. And then, of course, you have the cellular waste. And that, by far, is a lot of waste in the human body. Cellular waste comes from 100 trillion cells or thereabout, and that's a lot of waste head to toe. When your kidneys and skin both aren't filtering, who is? Well, you get a little runny nose, you get runny vaginally, you get runny ears, you get cough out of the mouth, you can get in the belly button. In other words, your body's trying to find avenues of elimination. But medically, we lock everything in you. That's not how nature works. Nature expectorates, gets rid of. You notice that when you hold or lock, either be emotionally, mentally, or physically, the results are never good. So this is all about eliminating, expectorating. So that's why we focus on the eliminative organs. Key, bowels are ruined by high proteins, kidneys are ruined by high proteins. Look at our first case here, Tom, getting kidney failure. Well, most people are in kidney failure to some degree. One of the culprits is our blood workouts, our biochemistry. These people, we must bring these creatinine levels down to 0.3 to 0.7. I think that should be the norms for kidney creatines, because when you're above 7, you're getting in trouble, and you'll see it symptomatically with your inflammation, your pains, your swellings, your tumors. You'll see all that. So it is vital to work on the kidneys, and that which controls the kidneys sits proudly on top of them, the adrenal glands. That's where your chronic fatigues, that's where your sugar metabolisms, that's where your autonomic nervous system comes into. The adrenals are huge. So study on those adrenals. But making cells healthy is simple, and you must understand that life makes itself healthy in the right medium. And our medium for health in the human body is predominantly on the base side of chemistry, meaning the alkaline side of chemistry. that little pH difference keeps the body hydrated. Fall below the 7s, and you're now in acidosis. The only thing that should fall below 7s, excluding the lymph system, is the urine. You should be in the 6s in your urine. And C, robust sediment. Ever since I changed my diet to predominantly fruits, I have had severe acne breakouts. I never used to have a problem with acne. Now, why? Because fruits. Now, here's where the fruits get the bad names. They're the power hogs. Fruits, berries, and melons are the power hogs of life. I don't care what people think. I don't care what Brian thinks at the Hippocrates. I don't really care what Young thinks. I don't care at all. It doesn't matter. These guys are lost, in my opinion. Fruits and berries are the power hogs. Look at the chemistry. Power hogs. They get things moving. And this is what's happening to you, sweetheart. This is in your body. If you don't have sewage in there, fruits are not going to create eczema. Come on. That's not what they do. But they do kick up what system? The lymph system. This is why we use fruits, berries, and melons in detoxification. And look at this. So what this is saying to you, honey, is that under this pretty skin of yours lies sewage. that the body's trying to kick out. When you went on fruit, since your kidneys aren't filtering like they should, I can tell you already by what you're saying, the skin is bearing the brunt. So you've got to work on your kidneys and adrenal glands. This is very, very important for all of you that are dealing with skin problems. You're in kidney failure to a certain extent, meaning you're not filtering. And your creatinine can be beautiful, it can be 0.5 and still not be filtering. When that starts to take place in the kidneys, now the kidneys are going to start breaking down and you'll see your creatinines go up. But you can lose filtration long before your creatinines in your blood goes up. So just keep that in mind, and that's why you're seeing the fruit. So you really need to get on the herbs and move this around and get your kidneys and adrenals in order, sweetheart, so you can get the skin cleaned up and you can get the rest of the body cleaned up. Because right now your body's using the skin as your kidney. And I can just tell you, every time you'll see this fact. I never used to have a problem with acne. In fact, I had a nice complexion before. I am very confused right. Don't be confused. It's what's hiding underneath, honey. You don't have anything hiding underneath what can cause it. This isn't a bacterial thing. You might see some little hungry creatures, but it's sewage. And you have sewage problems, but sweetheart, most of us have kidney and adrenal problems, dear, and you just have to fix this. And once you get your kidneys filtering, this will all clear up. And I don't care how bad it is. I've had psoriasis so bad. I'll get some pictures sometime and show you if I can find her case. And I took a lot of pictures of her because she was one reptilian in a way. She had scales, head, that everywhere she walked was a path. You had to sweep behind her. And she'd split and bled everywhere. Only took us 3 months to get all that out of her, but at the end of the fingertips. And that took a couple more months and she was good. 19 years old. Bad stuff. And now they're using chemo, isn't it, for psoriasis? Did you hear that, Teddy? Chemo for psoriasis. Ooh, Teddy didn't like that. Teddy did not like that. I know. I know it can't be the fruit, but is there some problem in my body? Exactly. Not metabolizing the fruit sugar has nothing to do with fruit sugar, honey. This has nothing to do with fruit sugar. And that's what I think that's what it's coming down to, is that people think that the fruit sugar is bad. I can't imagine that. That's the nectar of the gods. Are you kidding? We're sweet people. We like sweet, tasty things. We don't like grass. We're not. If I give you a bunch of grass to eat, or I give you a bowl of fruit with bananas and blueberries, and they say strawberries or something, which would you rather have? If you like the greens, go ahead. Me, I'm going to take that bowl of fruit. Then you can do the greens later on. But, I mean, that's the problem. Is horses will love the greens, but I guarantee you my horse will smell that fruit and go, whoop, I think I'll get the greens later. Mm-hmm. How do I fix and balance this? I don't eat any processed foods, only just organic fruits and vegetables. If you could not use my name, that would be great. Oh, oops. Oops. Should put that in the front, not the back, because I don't pre-read these, guys. I don't pre-read them. I don't have the time. Oh, this is an interesting, I thought. Do you have any experience with dealing with juvenile macular degeneration? No, but it doesn't matter. This is just what's coming down the pike. This is what I've been talking about, dear ones. This is what I've been talking about, you mothers. You got to get your kids in a state of wellness, because this is the lymph system in this child. But wouldn't it be? I mean, stop and think about this. We've been talking this a great deal. What are you seeing with the kids? All the cancers, everything now in the kids, everything. Horrible. Why? What's failing? Kidneys and adrenals. Look at how low the blood pressures are. Look at how low the kidney functions are. Look at the pancreas and the liver. Matter of fact, she didn't want us to turn it on, but I got a little in for you. But it was this baby someone called in for, this small little infant. Can't process fats and proteins. Well, that's what's happening. We're losing our hepatic and pancreatic areas, so babies can't digest these formulas anymore. We make high-fat, high-protein formula. When are these medical doctors? See, until they wake up, sometimes it's hard for me not to beat them up, because this is a consistent ignorance that has to stop. You can only be ignorant so long when you're hurting lots of people, and you've got to stop that. High protein and high fat is not what Homo sapiens require. You do not see that anywhere in the primate family, and anybody that does gets sick. And the proof is we're giving these baby formulas that are so cute, like Ensure, who has the audacity. I hate this commercial because I think they should be sued for false advertising. The Ensure kicking out the nasty food out of the refrigerator, not that it isn't a bunch of nasty stuff, and then hugging the fruits and vegetables like Ensure is nothing but fruit juice and vegetable juice. Right. So these high fat and these high protein formulas, these babies can't digest them anymore. So here we're going back to this poor young lad that we talked about last year, Trevor, who passed from tying his stomach around his esophagus. Remember, he went under surgery. First of all, tying a baby's stomach around his esophagus because he throws up because he can't handle fat or protein? Or you don't understand that he can't have fat or protein? And what did he do when we got him on the fruits? He only had 3 days, but on the fruit he started doing better and better and better and better and better and could digest, wouldn't throw. I mean, we're seeing this more and more, guys, so be prepared. This is why we need every one of you to work through these. Ask me all you want. Let's work through this. Let's get our experiences at hand. All you YouTubers, let's don't fight. Let's just get case after case after case. Our level 2 is going to come up, and we're going to case you guys to death. You walk out of level 2, you better know what you're doing. That's going to be one level. You got to know what you're doing, because I want healers out there that are great spiritual beings that are giving their love to others in healing. We have a world to change, guys, and it's important we do now. There's no more time to wait. At least I don't have any more time to wait, and I'm sure you don't either. And these babies coming through, we got to change this. This is sad. It is so sad. Karma, and I have to be detached from it. But on the other hand, you know, when you're involved in it, it's sad. Sad, sad, sad. You've got to put these babies, and this is only a few months old, so already this baby's got to go on fruit juices. And we put babies on fruit juices at 3 and 4 months. Do we have thin little babies that can't walk? Huh! We've got super kids. We have kids that are so big now, it's not even funny. And smart? Are you kidding me? I mean, raw is worse than cooked formulas. I mean, this is how low man has sunk. This is how low our government has sunk. This is how low the FDA sinks. If these guys wake up and look at their stupidities and what they're doing, they're big macho guys and what they're doing, these guys are promoting the use of death. Any pharmaceutical that's released to the market that hurts somebody or kills somebody, don't you think that's not good? What's wrong with you guys? You're constipated. You need us to come up there with some colonic machines and clean you all out, or put you in jail, because you guys are the bad ones. You're the ones hurting people. These innocent people out here, the healers of life, are only trying to help. They're God people. So it's amazing. And these are the ones. These souls have opened themselves up to negative forces, and pretty soon they become negative forces. Macho guys gotta go get the people in California because they're selling raw milk. If that isn't seeking down to Hellville, I don't know what is. Big old macho guys with guns and suits. You know, I hope these souls look back on their lives and throw up and go, whoops, I guess I got trapped. I guess you did. Now we need to get untrapped and open up the beauty of the positive forces. And we all will do it. We'll all do it. So, Mac D, what's up? You got macular degeneration? I don't care what age it is. What's up? What's breaking down the eye tissue? I don't care where it's at. The retina, the pupil, doesn't matter. The optic nerves, the brain itself. What's up with the breakdown of cells? It doesn't have to be in the eye. It could be in the liver. It could be in the gallbladder. It could be in the stomach. It could be anywhere in the body. What side of chemistry breaks down things? Acids. So what system is this young man involved in? No question, right? But it's up in here already with this young man or young lady. Yeah, absolutely. This is a lymph system, but you're not going to find any young people without kidney and adrenal weaknesses, and I mean probably chronic. I don't believe you'll ever find a kid like that unless it's an islander baby. Are you going to find these? And this is serious stuff out there. So this is so important for you moms to get this and learn how simple and beautiful this is. You'll have healthy babies. You'll get this out. This MACD and a little bitty juvenile. You got to move lymph. Get those adrenals. This young man or girl probably has low blood pressures. Detoxify. Get up on the adrenal glands. You'd want to use maybe a little adrenal gland. It depends on the age there. It just depends on the age of this young one. But you've got to move lymph up here. I would definitely use upper circ. I would definitely use brain and nerve. At the same time, I'm after the bowels, because this is sitting on top of the tree. So this little young man's GI tract probably isn't in the best of shapes either, or lady. So so you want to go after that. And also, depends the age, what we use, how much we use, and all that. That you want to get in those adrenals and kidneys and lymph system and start moving it, and hopefully, invoke a cold and flu-like symptom. The best thing this young man or young woman can do is invoke a cold and flu-like symptom. Why? What do you want to drain ASAP? Sinus. Sinus. You could candle that young one's ears and probably take that, stop or slow that MACD down a little bit because you're pulling these acids from the ears. But you want them to go down and out the kidneys like they should. Because the next thing is the brain and lesions, and then into the MSs or into worse. All these, so, this isn't good. You've got to get this young man straightened around. This is real, or woman, this is real important. My dad has it from birth, which makes sense because the article on Wikipedia about it says that it's caused by mutations in the RDS and the VMD2 genes. Now, without getting complicated, weaknesses of cells are genetic, but not acids. Weaknesses of cells are genetic. But you're talking about degeneration. That's not genetic. The weakness is, but remember we talked about where the weakness is, the lymph systems are highly compromised. Jensen talked a lot about this. And I've been showing you in the eyes where that thick collar around those lesions, those lacunas, show lymph stagnation and a furthering of the high acidosis that yields. Therefore, the destruction of the tissue in a more rapid way. Almost as if God said, well, that genetic weak tissue, we're going to terminate that. We're going to suffocate it and burn it up. It's enough to say that you've got to get in front of some of these laws of nature and understand what's going to happen if you don't do some of these things. That's the problem. I have to laugh at the power of man, and now we have a hurricane knowing right where it's going. Well... but that's what's past. The weakness of the cell, the damage to the cell, that's chemistry. Now, you don't develop a cell that's mutating. You have a mutated cell, but what furthers the mutation? And that's acidosis, honey. Can a detox diet turn these genes around? Absolutely can turn them around. Absolutely. You take a weak cell, you can turn it around. It's like an atypical cell. You can turn that around. We see this all the time in these eyes. These genetic lesions start sewing up. You see the healing lines, and pretty soon the lesions are almost gone. Good genetic regeneration. I love that. He's had terrible eyesight from birth. There you go. And I would definitely use that. Chase, I would also use probably the eye wash internally. It depends how old this individual is. Use the eye wash internally. There is a Visioplex here. It does have raw eye tissue in it. But when you're a young person and you're losing your vision, some of those tools could be beneficial for them. So if you need, call in. If not, take off after this young person. Get the kidneys and adrenals in order, because vital to do this. Get the bowels cleaned up so the sinuses can drain. And this lad needs to, or young woman needs to have a cold and flu-like symptom. And might, when you start doing this, don't freak out. Get that mucus and that acid out of those tissues, and you'll stop the MACD. Then you can start regenerating tissue. So need upper circ, brain and nerve to do some regeneration there. But you need to get these acids out, and then you can rebuild these cells. Or just think, when this lad or lady has your grandbabies, not good. And that's what's happening. That's just exactly what's happening. Nobody's helping people get well. And then, of course, people carry their attitudes because of this level is kind of constipated in that way. So no one's getting well from that, except those that have a little bit higher of awareness, or those that suffer a little too long to where the knock at the door is over. Well, okay, I'll do something about it. And you guys are right there to help a lot of people, and I'm proud of every one of you. Don't think you have to have degrees out the yin-yang to help people, because we have to get away from that. If you notice, the academic consciousness is being split. If it isn't, we can't find peace and joy and happiness, because it's academics that have got us here. We think the answers lie in the mind and knowledge and education, and it doesn't. Good communication skills, how you play in creation, how you build things, yeah. but not in who you are and not in health and these sort of things. It's gotten people way out of line because there's some things have to remain simplistic. Even in a high intellectual environment, you still must have the simplicity of consciousness, the simplicity of knowingness, and the simplicity of things. If not, you see what's happened with the medical. It's become so complicated in and of itself. Words this long that if you can't pronounce them, you must not be a very good person. That's bull crap. It's all bullcrap, and generally comes from an intellectual, like the guy I read to you that said, because I couldn't pronounce a word that long, that I must have a 5th grade education. Well, he slandered me there. That was pretty good, you know. But that comes from a narcissistic person that's intellectual and thinks they know so much, and that's the problem with the mind. Be very cautious that if you want to increase your capacity of knowledge, keep the ego in check while you're doing it. We don't need to slam each other. This is Kitty Cat Snack Attack. Oh, is it time for lunch? That was funny. That was good. I love that one. Kitty Cat Snack Attack. That's cute. You guys are so beautiful and so cute and so fun. And that's what we need to be with each other. Fun and have a good time. If you're in pain, let's work you out of it. Let's help you get out. Let's help all our friends and our loved ones get out of pain and suffering. For those that are tuning in, you've got to change this. You've got to change your awareness. Some lady was in last week and she had some kind of couple cancers in her, and her daughters are YouTubers and they really want to go, and the mother's kind of sitting back, and I'm looking at her and she's thinking wrong. She's holding her head, and I'm thinking, you know. And we were talking, and I looked at her and I said, well, the problem is one thing, and that's up here in you. You've got to change this. If you don't change your consciousness, if you don't change, it's like you're trying to pull a ball and chain with you. In other words, you're trying to eat raw, but you're pulling your meats and your dairies and everything you like with you down the road. And they're kind of pulling you back. You got to let go, let go. Let go and start a new life, a new thing. Make this a new journey. Something you're embarking on that's exciting and that you can have fun with and that you feel better with and you learn more and understand more. That's fun. Sometimes we get trapped in our ways and we don't want to budge. No, don't make it change. Don't make me change. Don't make me go. You got to break that, because life is nothing but change. So, kitty cat attack, snack attack. Oh, I have been watching some of your videos and find what you do very fascinating. If you don't mind my asking, I have a question. If I were to email you a photo of my eye, would you be able to tell which parts of my body are struggling the most? Yeah, I'll email one, and well, you know, I'm trying to keep those down, but I've got a bunch of eyes here that I'm going to go over, so if you'll get it to me as quick as you can, maybe this week, the next show, we will go over the eyes, and I'll go over yours with you, absolutely. I have many, that's a big mini letter you got there, honey. Radii Solaris, oh. With some positive changes. They have been getting better. Yeah! Now there's a lady kicking butt. I have many, which organs are being most affected. Most Radii Solaris, they can go around in other areas, but they love to go that way. Notice that? Because the transverse bowel is the one that gets beat up the most. And I think because once you get around here, you know, things slow up, particularly with dead tissue and things like that. Well, now you have putrefaction. And with gluey foods like white bread and starches, we're taking a glue, we're taking dead tissue, and we're throwing it up against our bowel wall. And we wonder why we have C. diff, or we have any type of bacterial problems or any type of viral problems and things like this. So you've been working on yourself. And I'd like to find out which organs are being most affected. I understand if you are simply too busy. No, I'm not. You give it here, sweetheart, and I'll go over it with you, okay? I'll do that. My total desire is to see you all find your nectar, find your God way, to find who you are, and to get your bodies healthy so you have some joy and fun in your life. Because this is a hellish world. And there are just so many sleeping souls willing to hurt people, taking these roles in governments and, powering over people and crap like that. Heck, if I worked for the FDA and I saw some of the crap, I'd quit and then sue them. There's been a lot of FDA whistleblowers, but I think you'll see some of these major lawsuits coming that'll really open some doors, because there's just nothing they're going to do about all of us that are sick of this stuff, and especially when they're hurting our babies. I mean, and they have jurisdiction over your baby, so they can hurt your baby all they want, and you can't do anything about it. That's what's going on right now. They can hurt your baby to whatever level they want, and there's nothing you can do about it. That makes me want to puke. Fruits, fruits, fruits. Does this mean non-sweet fruits such as tomatoes too? Yeah, sure. Or do these slow down the healing process? Well, I think, as you see, that the fruits and the berries and the melons, as healing as they are, particularly to the vascular walls and stuff, they're really great cleansers. But they're also great for the brain. I mean, all these neurological conditions, you see incredible turnaround with the fruits and the berries and the melons. Now, I can tell you hands down, I've had more experience probably than most people on the planet with neurological conditions and things like this. And I can tell you, vegetables don't do it, guys. You can try on your own. You'll see for yourselves. I sure did. But I can tell you, we should love fruits, berries, and melons. That's where all our flavors are. That's delicious food. It's okay to have a salad once in a while. Who cares if you have a salad a day? Now, you got your veggies if you think you're an omnivore. Okay. But get your fruits and your berries and your melons, because you have a brain enhancer, a nerve rebuilder, you have a lymph cleaner. I mean, you're right in the mix here. Just great food, and especially for these young children. They're not going to do vegetables, and like this one Jeff said about the carrot juice, boy, I didn't think about that, 40 years ago. And Jensen, he didn't think about that when he woke up to prostate cancer, so 3 months carrot juice fast didn't do a thing for him. I told you I had a lump in my throat, and I didn't do a thing for me, and I'm going, I kept fasting more on carrot juice. What's on? I didn't realize till I got a lot more experience behind me that vegetables don't detoxify, that it's the fruit that I needed. I needed to go on a grape fast. Well, I mean, this side has been highly suppressed by the negative side. Now the positive side is powering up like nobody's business. Look at the spiritual beings working with us now. It's unreal. Little Miss 40. You don't look 40. Little Miss 20. Hi, Dr. Morris. Sincerely apologize for sending you another question so soon. My father... No, you don't have to apologize. I apologize for not being able to give you all the just time that I'd love to. I could just do these YouTubes all the time to help you guys get out there, but I just don't have all that time. But I certainly love, most of you are so smart, you don't need it. So many of you got this, it's so simple, I can't imagine people not getting it. But you guys, some of you guys are literally tearing it up. I'm telling you, it's just doing incredible. Yaz, you're working yourself out of that, boy. You all are just doing incredible work on yourselves. Life Rejuvenator was in, kicking himself there, doing well. I mean, you all just have to work yourself out of these areas. And yes, some of it's going to be time intensive. Some of these genetically compromised areas, absolutely. You just work. But there's a remedy. It might be a time factor at this level, but okay. You could either be walking this road at the time you have, or you could be going like poor Jeff's friend Tom. You could be walking down the allopathic road, which is Hellville Road. There's nothing happy, healthy about it. Everything stinks like chemicals. Everything hurts. Everything is toxic just about. Until you get to good surgery. Good surgery, you'll never hear me complain one bit. Bad surgeon, bad boy. Especially whoever tied that boy's stomach around his esophagus. I would have never done that for no medical doctor alive would I have done that as a surgeon. So that surgeon just wasn't too good. But there are some fantastic surgeons. And I've always said I'd love to see medical doctors becoming surgeons, because some of these surgeries are incredible. Some of these people really tear themselves up pretty good. Amazing out there. Rising Titan, 1111. Here's 1111 again. Oh, I love that. I love this whole thing with the chakra thing. This is beautiful. This is really beautiful. Guys, look at that. Rising Titan 1111. I love that. The lymphatic system and magnetism. Hey Doc, reading my favorite book again about this time, a line stood out. The lymphatic system corresponds to the astral plane in its second ray. It deals with the magnetic field of the body, magnetic attraction. If we realize that it maintains the magnetic field of the body, we would understand a little more about what it means in the physical body, for it corresponds to the love-wisdom aspect. They also talk about how the blood corresponds to the physical and the nervous system and the mental plane. You probably already know all this, but thought I'd share it. Thanks a million for teaching. Oh, great, man. Thanks for bringing that out. Well, you know what's funny is you trace back. You know, at this level, things are pretty mundane, you know, pretty physical. And did you ever see Cocoon? And that was a movie, a couple movies a couple years ago, Cocoon, and these were light beings, and then they took on physical embodiments, and they were matured in cocoons and stuff. Well, that's pretty much what you're saying here, because this pretty much let's just say we took off your physical body off of you. Right now, we had a human standing here, and I took off their physical body and set it to the side. I would see now what you're talking about is their astral body. We can call it emotional body, but it's commonly referred to as the astral plane. And I was telling you that there was a gentleman in our April class, and he asked, we were talking about the 1,000-petal lotus, because when you read things in spiritual works, whether it's Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, it doesn't matter, you're probably reading actual places that spiritual beings have visited and brought back this knowledge and this awareness to their chelas or students. And it's got written up that way. But he had seen the 1,000-petal lotus a couple of times. I've seen it probably no more than 3. But it is the powerhouse at the top of the astral world that controls the astral world and the physical world. These are rays of light or states of consciousness. So if I kept peeling off these bodies, each body would become finer, more electrical, less chemical, till we get to the pure mind. Mind has 3 parts to it. I don't want to confuse anybody, but the mind has 3 bodies to it: causal, mental, and etheric. The etheric is more the subconscious related to the ego, the id. That's when you come out of the all and take on a persona. I am now an individual. That's the ego. It can be accentuated like I, but it is that separation. That body, when you take that first on, takes you from the allness to now the individual. From there, you get a mind. And you first tap into the universal mind where all minds come from. Yet I've said this before, you can think same thoughts as your loved one. If you have a real close relationship, you almost can think together. You ever see that? People can think overseas the same thought as you think here. Universal mind. Holmes wrote a lot about the universal mind. And then you take the causal body. This is where you first take on a form that you can recognize. Outside of that, these are all magnetic light bodies. When you take on a form here in the causal world, it's a magnetic body, but that's the blueprint, called the Akashic Records. That's the blueprint. You can read about them. It should be in Christianity. Little hints of all these worlds are out there, and you have a body at each level. You can travel through your bodies at each level you want at any time once you learn the secrets. But these are just what you're saying, and I love your 1111. It's incredible there. But absolutely, it is. But what's after electrical? Okay, after chemistry we got electrical, and after electrical, what do we have? What's after electrical beings? Consciousness, pure awareness, undefinable, untouchable. You can't define intelligence. You can't define awareness. It's undefinable. But you can experience it. Sweet Flower Princess. Boy, you guys got some good names. Middle back pain and heart arrhythmia after eating fruit. Whew. First, thank you for your work. Thank you for writing in here, Sweet Flower Princess. I love your name. I really appreciate what you're doing. My problem is that I get horrible mid-back pain after eating fruit. Well, The only thing I could say is you either have some stomach issues, pancreatic issues. I don't know if they're liver issues, but you could have a little hepatic, gallbladder, or liver, or pancreatic, or stomach, which will burn back to that related vertebrae mid-back. So, you know, because fruit's very active, remember that. If you find that, so cut down on fruit, go to your vegetable matter first, get on the stomach and bowel formulas, the lymphatic formulas, and kidney and adrenals, and start fixing yourself up a little bit, because fruits are very, very aggressive and active. That's why we use them. But there are people that are hurting it out in these areas, so slow up a little bit, sweetheart, and go that way first. Go down to your sweeter fruits maybe, as opposed to your more water aggressive fruits. Let's see how that works out for you. I have changed my diet about 9 months ago, and I have been doing between 100% and 80% raw since, so that's good. Now, if you have a case where you have a person that can't handle it all raw, it's okay to slow up with them. Like if you have a case where it's just like her, where she can't handle fruit, so you have to back them down a little bit. Sometimes you have to do a little low-level healing before they can tolerate the higher levels of true detox. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And very important for you Facebook people to realize that too, and I'm sure you do. Is that sometimes just changing people away from the meats and the dairies and all the crap and the breads and crap, and you just give them steamed vegetables and a salad maybe at night, unless the salad bothers them, and then do your fruits through the day, or you can even do just fruits once a day, like for breakfast, go more your bananas and grapes and some sweeter fruits, unless they bother you, and then go to your vegetables or vegetable juices and work yourself that way. And then use the herbs. That's the beauty of herbs. You can use them to help fix some of these things so you can handle these higher levels, because there's no question, as a lot of you know, that these higher levels are real aggressive in detox. But we have lymph systems. We have little people here that have macular degeneration and brain tumors all over the place, and hepatic failures all over the place. This is so far beyond medical thinking, it's unbelievable. These guys don't know how to help any of these people. Isn't that sad? And yet, they want to force us to belong to their society and fine us $2,000 a year if we don't. Interesting. This back pain just happened only after eating high amounts of watermelon or grapes, but now it is happening even after 3 bananas. Well, slow up a little bit, because you either have an ulceration going on in there, or you've got a burnt stomach. Something's being exposed that you have in there. Get me a picture of your eyes or something, or get yourself a picture and look at it. See what you see going on in there. You might have to back down and do some veggies for a while, do some veggie juices. And the increase in symptoms wasn't constant, because it already was bad before, but then it got better for a while. You just keep working yourself back out. You heal all tea would be really good for you too. You could also use some aloe vera. I take some herbs and put it in some aloe juice, like 2-ounce shot glass of aloe vera juice. Take that down. That aloe will help heal that. You can work with the heal all tea and let that tea heal as you go along. Use the stomach and bowel and start healing up some things, sweetheart, and then getting a little more and a little more and a little more down the road. You can do that. Sometimes we have to do that. It's the only way we can work ourselves back toward Wellville, is go slow, because we've gotten some serious problems and we're not aware of that. Only a person that has problems in the gut like that is going to react like this. It isn't the food that's a problem, it's your body that's a problem. We need to fix that. This pain feels like it's coming from the middle back, but can't be. No, I think it's radiating from one of either your stomach or your pancreas or liver, and that'll radiate, because remember, each vertebrae you have relates to stomachs, relates to pancreas, relates to liver. Remember, L4 and L5 relate to the kidneys. So just important to look at that. I feel my whole chest hurting and my heart is racing with arrhythmia. That sounds stomach to me, because when you hit the stomach, you're hitting the autonomic nervous system, and that controls heart, that controls everything. That is, the stomach is the seat. So I think you're going to slow up, use some heal all tea, use some aloe to take some herbs, and, let some things heal up there a little bit. Clean up the bowels, maybe use the GI broom if you can tolerate, and clean myself up, and then slowly start your fruits back on, and you'll get past this. But this is just telling you got a little bit of a serious issue in probably the stomach there, because that's so reactive neurologically to the heart and everywhere else. Remember, the nerve ganglia of the autonomic, parasympathetic and sympathetic come together in the stomach area. So it just shows a lot of inflammation going on. And you could have interstitial lymphatic constipation. It's burning the stomach wall. You don't know until you look in the eyes and see what's going on. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to pass out or have a heart attack or something. Well, back off, honey. Definitely back off and do that. It starts about 5 minutes after eating fruit, and then it lasts about 10 minutes, and then it is gone. Yeah, so it's so strong it could be spasming that area. That area is highly inflamed. It could be spasming that area is why you're seeing that. Matter of fact, I probably would do the brain and nerve formula too to strengthen up the nervous system. Definitely got to hit your adrenals and get your neurotransmitters up and really start healing your gut up a little bit here. And you might have to go that walk first, sweetheart, before you go any deeper. I don't know what to eat for calories anymore. Forget calories. Forget calories and just go for health. Forget calories and go for health. If you worry about calories, you'll get yourself trapped in places you don't need to be. Forget about calories. Eat as you would eat. Eat intuitively. You don't have primates. Am I getting enough calories on that tree up there? These guys are real big. Look at the orangutans for an example. Don't get a lot of calories, but that baby orangutan isn't somebody you want to hold too long. You ever see them with National Geographic holding little baby orangutans? Yeah. So it isn't the calories. Actually, the news has even said, remember, that we're starting to lower calorie intakes because people do better. You know, we got to get away from traditional thinking totally and just open up to how does nature deal with it? Do we sit there and think about, are we getting all these things? Are we getting all the nutritions and things? We have to obviously use the mind a little bit here and try to seek superior food, since we're in a position that most people live outside the tropics, so they're living in hostile environments for the health of Homo sapiens in the first place, and have to rely on trucking and growers and pickers to pick halfway ripe, get to market more often, which is costly. Growing pyramid greenhouses would be a nice thing. If I don't find solution, I have to become a breatharian. Well, that might be. You could be one of the first female breatharians. Well, there's that lady from down under. Well, you don't have to become a breatharian, sweetheart, but you're going to have to fix this. Got a problem in there. Sounds like you have ulcerations or something going on. So take that Heal All tea and soothe that, use the stomach and bowel formula, whichever, and start getting that acid out of those areas and healed up, and then you won't have that aggressiveness with fruit. But you already have some inflammation in there that's affecting your nerve ganglia there. That's why you see that response to the heart arrhythmia. Common stuff. So it's some real sensitivity there. But that system is adrenally controlled. Let me see here. My medical history, what is that? Neurodermathitis? I don't know if you have that spelled or something. Chronic migraines with cyclic vomiting syndromes. Wow! Cyclic vomiting syndrome since childhood. Tonsils removed at age 4. Adrenal exhaustion, iron deficiency, jaundice when I wasn't. There you go. Frequent bladder infections, frequent arrhythmias. Okay, sweetheart. See, this is Sweet Flower Princess. And look at the problems. I don't know how old you are, sweetheart, but look at the problems you've got here. All right, Flower Princess, let's look at this. I don't know whether that's spelled right or where it's dermatitis, neurodermatitis. I don't know. You know, obviously your nervous system is down. Why? Well, you're talking about the central nervous system can be down, but your autonomic is, for sure. That's your adrenal glands. That ties back to your kidneys. It'd be common case here. You have adrenal exhaustion. That would fit right in. You probably have real low blood pressure. And you might see you might be one, sweetheart, that's swinging blood pressure because this vomiting syndrome sounds like you have something with the cerebellum. You either got something with the cerebellum or you've got some chemicals stuck in your stomach and liver. One of the two or both. So this will give you this whole thing. If you had any lightheadedness, dizziness, vertigo, that would be tied to the vomiting, or you could have it right here in the nerve ganglia, right here. You could have taken a liquid, some type of chemical, some type of vaccine, something that the chemicals have lodged into your gut, and now you've got to get this out of there. So you have to detox, but there's ways to do that can keep you from from doing all these things. I would take the antispasmodic formula with what you're saying here. I would use that as an antispasmodic, of course, to kind of keep this under control in terms of spasming on you. I could have guessed hepatic or pancreatic, and there you're showing that. That's burning to the back on you. So just remember that pain in the back is coming from stomach and hepatic. But again, they are branches of the tree, and you've had your tonsils already removed, so that shows your lymph system is backed up in your head now. Well, there's the cerebellum. That's your equilibrium dizzy, vertigo, nauseous, lightheadedness when you get on an airplane, all this sort of thing. Motion sickness. Common area of weakness in humans today. Since childhood. Iron deficiency, that's going to tie back to your adrenals. Jaundice, that's going to go right to where you know, the liver. But we're talking lymph here. So kidneys, you got to consider kidneys. And look, you have frequent bladder infections and frequent arrhythmias. Not surprised a bit. The arrhythmias will come out, strengthen the nervous system, get the adrenals up, get the kidneys and bladder cleaned out, get your gut cleaned out, do some things here, and work yourself out of that flower, princess. If you need help, call one of the guys here to help you work yourself through there. But you don't need to go through that anymore, sweetheart. It's time to work yourself back. Now, I know you are. You're trying hard with the fruit. Let's get away from the fruit a little bit, back you down a little bit, and then we'll get you going forward faster. This is C. Bowman, 212. Dr. Morris, do you have any experience with Best's disease? I never heard of it. Best's disease, a form of juvenile macular. Macular degeneration. We were just talking about that. My dad has it, and I was wondering if a year or two of fruits plus herbs could heal him. Oh, absolutely. Definitely. And get up. I was just talking about MACD and just getting up and rebuilding tissue. But if you're going to rebuild tissue, which is cells, which makes up everything, what would you have to correct first? What's breaking them down? I mean, that's pretty common sense. If your cells are breaking down, what's doing it? And you've got to remove that. Well, there's only two sides of chemistry. Pick one. And it's not base, so you have to pick another. That's acids. Well, what system in your body predominantly deals with acids? It isn't the blood, it's the lymph. Well, what's tied to the lymph? Kidneys, adrenals, and interstitial fluid everywhere. Lymph nodes, tonsils. I'm just saying. So, yeah, get this MACD out of you. The only way you get any degeneration or any genetic weakness out is two things. Two things. Remember this. Two things. Only two things. And you can get all this done. You must first clean the human body out, as you would your car, your house, or anything else. You must clean the acid waste that have built up out. To do that, though, you have to fix some things that have created the obstruction. Kidneys and adrenals are at the core issue of this. This reflects out. Look at all the adrenals do. This is a good case to show you. This reflects into the autonomic nervous system and all that means, which is located everywhere in the human body. You've just got every system involved with the autonomic, plus you have the cells themselves, depending upon the health of the blood-bringing nutrition, but as equally as important, you depend upon the lymph system to remove their wastes, which are predominantly acids. And if you don't remove these wastes properly, filtering through the kidneys, you're going to get inflammation. Inflammation, you might as well call acidosis, and then you start to see the pain and swelling. That's inflammation first. It takes a while, then you have the intracellular acidosis, which leads to the decay and mutation of the cell. Call it genetic mutations and which genetic gene and all that. That's a waste of our tax money and the people doing it. A waste. What it is another part of the negative side of the mind that enthralls people. Oh, look, the genes in them. You'd have seen the microscope I bought the other day. It was a nice one. I bought one with a big LED panel on it. I don't know how to, if I could show that up to you. I might play with that a little bit and try to show you things with the microscope. But we'll work with that. Let's see, how do I ask a question to Dr. Morse for him to answer in one of these videos? Boy, you just did. That's you just did. Where you asked that question, you just asked the question because I got your question about where do I ask a question. That's where you asked the question. This is Monday, right? Oh, I didn't finish with you, little Miss 40. I'm sorry about that, sweetheart. My father has COPD. COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Having suffered with whooping cough as a child and as an adolescent, chronic allergic asthma. Now let's stop with that a minute. Where did your dad contract these diseases? You see what I'm saying? This is the problem with medical thinking. Your dad has definitely kidney and adrenal problems, I can tell you. The adrenals control the autonomic nervous system that controls the lungs, hence asthma and all the COPDers. Yes, as you go up, you got mucus involved, no question, just like pneumonia. But what makes the difference between pneumonia and COPD, which is asthma up, isn't pneumococcus. It's the autonomic coccus. The autonomic coccus is the autonomic nervous system that controls breathing. And so this is all tied into that. So you got to go to his adrenal glands. Now get this, he's 86 years old. Ought to be interesting. And he is on the usual bronchial dilators and occasionally steroids. So what this guy at 86 has done is put himself in big times harm way, depending on how long on the steroids, could be on and off for life, has massively weak adrenals from this. But he's 86, so it says he's got some pretty good genes here. Might be able to pull himself out of this, get the adrenals up, get his kidneys filtering, clean the lungs out a little bit doing that. So by strengthening the nervous system, that'll get rid of the tightness. And you can use a herbal antispasmodic instead of inhalers. Nebulizer's okay, but when you get into inhalers, that locks the mucus and the acids interstitially. Well, that's why they're all cancer-causing. It came out here a lot of years ago that Aerobid, a lot of these were cancer-causing because they were locking. And that's what they do. We use expectoration. So you could use 3-lung T, lungs 2, 1 or 2, and this will start breaking up some of this hardened sputum. However, we have another problem here, and it isn't mucus, it isn't lymph, it's the nervous system. Now that goes right back to the adrenals, so you have to work on your dad's adrenal glands here. This is your dad, and you are 40 years old, and he's 86. That's interesting. Steroids, the latter of which have done nothing, absolutely, except wreck his adrenal glands, make them weaker, therefore making the nervous system weaker that controls breathing. You see, these guys don't get any of that. And it's like, excuse me, get your head out of your waste paper basket and start learning what the YouTubers are learning, and you will be healers like they are. No offense. My father is always eating a reasonably healthy diet, and it doesn't matter if you eat healthy. That's the point. You can be a raw foodist, and if you don't move lymph and fix these glands, you could have serious problems. Raw foods in themselves today, just from what Jeff and some of the guys were talking about electrical and stuff, that's why, vegetables, real bad. At least the fruits have better electricity from the get-go. Even if they're way down, at least they're way up there compared to the vegetable kingdoms in electrical foods. But then we are high electrical beings. For those like this Dr. Sebi, Sebi or something, I don't know how you pronounce that, but certainly this guy has discovered that. A lot of us have discovered the electrical properties, the spiritual properties of life. These people are to be commended, and these high souls all need to come together and help those. All you YouTubers are learning consciousness and electricity and learning this, so you're all the Dr. Morses and Sebis or whatever, CBIs. You're all part of that. And don't feel like you have to be a Harvard grad to make a difference, because those guys are making a difference sometimes in the wrong way, especially if they're in the medical field. I feel sorry for some of these grads now. They went to school all these years, were promised all these jobs, and now there's no jobs. So, become healers, because we have a world of sick people, and there's not enough healers out there to help them. Excuse me. Espatate. Now, but I have encouraged a much more raw diet. I have also advised a supplement of N-acetylcysteine, as this increases glutathione in the lung. If you go that route, that's not going to make any difference. I'm telling you, you're bucking up the wrong tree. As well as supplementing vitamin A, D, E, also alpha-lipoic acid, and resveratrol. You're going the wrong way. Herbally, I want to purchase your lung formula. Can you advise which other herbal formulas you would recommend? Yeah, I would go right into tissue itself. First, you're going to detoxify your dad. You're going to get into the kidneys and adrenals, because if you don't get into those, there's just very little help you can have them for that. You're barking in the wrong tree. You're trying to treat a symptom. And you've got to go all the way back to what's causing this problem, sweetheart. The first, little Miss 40, you got to go to the cause. You're going right to the adrenals. That's a neurological connection that it gives them the asthma and the COPD. You got to do the kidneys, because people at his age die of kidney failure all the time. So look at his creatinine levels. Get his last blood work and look at his creatinine levels. But you want to go after his kidneys. At that age, he's going to have prostate too. That getting the kidneys will take care of all of that stuff for you. Cleaning the lungs out, I definitely use 3-lung tea, lungs number 2. At the same time, I'm after the bowels, I'm after the kidneys, I'm after the adrenals. See what I'm talking about? Now you're putting money in there instead of these worrying about glutathione and stuff like that, because that's what most naturopaths do, and that's why we get in their clients. This is why they're not successful, and this is not the way to find remedy for your dad. You might make him feel a little better for a little while, but it's not going to give him the remedy that he's going to need, because you got some rebuilding to do, and these do not rebuild jack doo-doo. I also want to ask your opinion on the Budwig diet. The Budwig diet? You don't want to ask my opinion on that diet. You do not want to ask me that opinion on that diet. I think this is the problem with some of these ridiculous concepts. Because anybody, and I don't care what his concept was, mixing cottage cheese and the oils and stuff, you eat any form of cottage cheese with a tumor, you're nuts. You're going to have your tumors grow like crazy. I get plenty of people on that diet in here. Not good. These are these insane people that think some kind of dairy products and the mixing can create this. That's what I think. And that's being real nice. Okay? It also concentrating on cell oxygenation. Oh, is it really? You know what? You're also concentrating on immune responses against types of foods. And that's not what you want. You want to get oxygen to cells, start moving lymph. Because you can bring blood into a highly stagnant area with oxygen, but you've got lymph stagnation to fight from that. If you want to bring oxygen more in, you've got to get lymph moving and filtering better, because you have high stagnation. You can pump oxygen into a high stagnant level and help it, but the Budwig diet to me has no way of doing that. If you're going to do something like that, I don't know, use baking soda or something like that, but still, the herbs will help much better at doing things like that. But this is more in getting oxygen to cells. If you don't get oxygen to cells, they're dead anyway. So that's not the problem. This isn't a blood problem. This is a lymphatic problem, big time. And then it is a neurological problem. Don't forget this. COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, starting with asthma, emphysema, and then your top shelf and little oxygen carriers, neurologically is always involved. The nervous system controls that. That's your adrenal glands each and every time. And you've got to fix those things to be able to fix this completely. Yeah, clean the lungs out of the mucus and all that, but this is a neurological component to that, and you haven't done anything for that. Let me see here. Secondly, have you any thoughts about hydrogen peroxide therapy? Been there, done it. I'd rather see you do that than trying to do this other way. But you just got to be real careful, because the philosophies you're exuding to me, sweetheart, is treatment-based thinking, which is okay with hydrogen peroxide. A lot of people have done that. I don't know. I've got a whole gallon in my refrigerator. I don't know. It's sat there for 20 years probably. I just don't go there, don't need it. This isn't about oxygen. This is about lymph and acidosis. So you're focusing on the wrong side, in my opinion. You have to be careful with this hydrogen peroxide therapy, or you can burn somebody real bad, because remember, alkalis can burn just as bad as acids. You have to be careful too far up on either side of the pH scale. From the research, there seem to be two schools of thought. Some who advocate its life-saving qualities and those who vehemently oppose it. Well, I'm probably somewhere in the middle on that one. I've seen it, but I tell you, I just don't use it. There is reality, and that is simply follow nature. I know it sounds cliches, but anytime you deviate outside of that, you're trying to power out what you don't understand. And you're here, what I see is focusing on blood, and you really need to focus on lymph. So thank you so much about that, sweetie. Sorry if they don't align with what your thinking is, so I apologize for that. But I tried this years ago. I tried all this ways that you're doing this, and it's like, nah, you're fall into the intellectual side of this. This older man of yours, your dad needs to get his adrenals and kidneys back in shape. Move that lymph, clean out those lungs, strengthen the autonomic nervous system that feeds this. Use an antispasmodic while you're cleaning this out, because he's going to need that if he's been on inhalers. He's been on the steroids for years. He's super wrecked his adrenals. So what he does is a constant need for inhalers, because he keeps weakening his nervous system by weakening his adrenals through steroid use. They don't understand what causes the inflammation and the swelling in the lungs. It's acids. It's not unoxygenated blood. It's acids. So you have to clean out that to get good oxygenated blood. And so teach him how to deep breathe a little bit. I'd rather see you take your dad to a hyperbaric chamber, sweetheart. I'd rather see you take your dad to a hyperbaric chamber than anything else you've mentioned here. Working on the nervous system, working on the adrenals, getting his lungs cleaned up, but you got to get his kidneys filtering. Hey, Dr. Morris, I work on, this is Be True 311. I like that name, Be True 311. I work at an orthopedic clinic, woohoo, and was telling one of the nurse practitioners about the benefits of glandulars as opposed to using isolated hormones for the glands. She was wondering if there is any training courses. There is. Standard Process Labs offers a lot of training with these glandulars. Standard Process Labs. And for practitioners, they offer a lot of training for them. So yeah, she can go get training on those. Absolutely. And she has to go to her nursing training too and realize what organs and glands are involved in the processes of what she's involved in and how that affects the breakdown of muscle or not, bone or not, that sort of thing. What's actually breaking these bones down? Why are you losing calcium? And understanding the parathyroid and the thyroid connection to calcium utilization. Understanding what acids do in the removal of calcium out of connective tissue or skeletal tissue. What causes acids to build up in the body? Learning adrenals and kidney. She's got to learn that pathway, and then, or that nurse, and that'll just, that'll open all the doors for her or him. But you're right. So much more effective. Glandulars are just so much more effective in inspiring the health and well-being of cells or of the gland itself. Steroids, emergency use perhaps, but really there's so many anti-inflammatory herbs and diet. The raw diet is anti-inflammatory. Just the diet alone. Berries, major anti-inflammatory. So you see, by going on a raw food diet, by using the herbs, you're on everything anti-inflammatory, or shall we use the correct word, antacid. Antacid. So let me see. This is an allopathic-based orthopedic clinic. Well, that's okay. So just wondering if you knew if there are training programs. Standard Process Labs. I've got to go, and I still got a lot to go. Did you guys get this book yet? Yeah, this guy, Professor Otima, George Clements, him and Raymond Bernard always fought because they believed in immaculate conceptions and things like this. When you go way back to some of these health giants, and they were spiritual too, and trying to figure it out. And of course, there was this big thing about immaculate conception during those earlier 1900s where if a person became celibate, the power of the raw, the power of detox, powering them up, that conception could occur magnetically. So there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. I can't say that I'm on that side, but I can't say one way or another. I'd have to see something like that. But there's certainly levels that are very interesting to waken up to. And I think it's time, like on one of those scratchy boards where you have to shake it and kind of create a new base for yourself, that feels good. To start a whole new base, a whole new way. So the best thing to do is take all these old thoughts and things, even though they keep wanting to circle around, and set them over there and get away from this treatment-based thinking into actuality here. Go after causative problems. Keep life simple. Keep health simple because it's not complex. If you make it complex, you'll be looking at the glutathione levels. You'll be looking at the acetylcysteines and cholines and all this, and it's like, oh, here we go again, and you'll never get well. Done it, been there. So is a lot of naturopaths currently doing it, and they're getting bad raps. We need to go to naturopathy. Beautiful healing. It's just a beautiful system. So I love you all. Got to run. Appreciate you taking your time in your day and listening to these videos. I'm as humbled as I can be with this. I know that God, nature, all loves you all, wraps their arms around you, and certainly I do. You all have a beautiful day, and I'll catch you in your dreams. Bye.